It's time, Buddymeister.
It's time, Jimmy.
The 9 days have begun.
They have. Oh, by the way, have you met my friend Deniz?
No, I haven't.
Well, make room, Jimmy, make room. Hey, Deniz, how are you? Okay, if you don't say. Well, you have time? You want to join us for our review? Come on. Let's get started.
Servus, Freunde. My name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Deniz, the Buddymeister.
And it's our ongoing pleasure to review one Indian movie each week.
And it's week 3 in this year's Halloween horror mayhem. So, of course, we have another Indian horror movie in store for you. Today, that movie is the Malayalam science fiction horror thriller 9, directed by Jenuse, Mohammed.
9 is a pretty recent movie. It was released in February this year and pretty positively received by critics. And I think it's safe to say that we both kinda agree with that.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. Was it really good? No, but it was worth the while anyway. Intriguing premise, not so intriguing execution, at least to some degree.
9 is certainly a very unique mixture. It's a very atmospheric movie with a tragic or problematic father-son relationship at its core, and it takes place in a science fiction setting that's not just a very unusual background, but also works as the catalyst for the actual story.
Which is that a global crisis arises when a comet passes very close to the Earth for 9 days. This comet causes an electromagnetic pulse surge that cuts off all electrical devices and machines for the whole 9 days. We follow the astrophysicist Albert Lewis, played by Prithviraj Sukumaran, and his son Adam in that time. And that's the story.
As you said, it's an intriguing premise, and just like with 3, which we reviewed last week, we have a clear structure in this movie, the 9 days without electricity. And we know that something strange must happen in these 9 days.
Almost the entire first 30 minutes are spent introducing us to a world in which this coming event of global consequences is taking place. And as a matter of fact, the title of the film isn't even shown on screen until that 30-minute mark.
I'm a total sucker for prolonging the opening credits. Suck the audience in with something intriguing, a great character entry, a thrilling action scene, or in this case, a very long introduction to the world and an event that will change everything. And only then the title pops up. That's great.
I didn't really expect a title card anymore, but it's a very stylish way to be cinematic, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. That's why I love it. In hindsight, one might complain that the whole science fiction aspect is just used as a backdrop, but I think, why not? It might overload the movie quite a bit, but it makes a more interesting setting than just putting the story in an ordinary place and time. And I also think it's a nice contrast. On one hand, you have this huge astronomical phenomenon, and then on the other hand, as it turns out, this intimate father-son relationship.
I guess it would make an intriguing movie too, you know, where you would follow a story about the social and economic consequences of such a power surge. But as you said, to show it from this isolated and intimate perspective makes it even more singular.
Yes, and to build an atmospheric horror movie around this event and the relationship between a father and his son is a nice idea.
I kinda like that the horror elements in general came in quite unexpected and sudden, but the father-son bond, as interesting as it might be, could have been handled way better. In a movie that's almost 150 minutes long, there's too much time wasted on other stuff. And the scenes that actually deal with the two of them aren't as convincing as you want them to be. It's rather annoying, to be honest.
It doesn't always feel consistent, yes, and there were moments where I really wondered how Albert feels about his son. I mean, once the full story is revealed, which we will talk about later, the drama is there, but up until that point, I didn't really feel it that strongly.
You talked about the structure in the beginning, those 9 days, and as I said, that sudden change from sci-fi to horror and also to the supernatural is nice. But in all of that lies a problem too, because the long build-up to the power surge event gets diminished by a more generic horror that got no build-up at all. Of course, those two things work together, but you never get a feel for those 9 days and this whole event. I think after 90 minutes or so, I was almost out of it.
I like the turn into the supernatural in the middle section too, and I totally went with it. It kept me intrigued and it kept me guessing about what's really going on. So I can't agree with you there, but 9 definitely overstays its welcome. It's too much, it's too long, the focus isn't always there, and again the father-son relationship is such a pivotal element that they just weren't able to fully grasp and flesh out.
Maybe it could have worked if the emphasis on the strong love that Albert and his deceased wife shared was bigger.
Yeah, maybe, but instead the movie doubles down on that in the very beginning in a rather awkward fashion. Not only did Albert's wife die while giving birth to Adam, for some reason Adam is also responsible that his cousin, I think, sits in a wheelchair. Maybe a bit too much.
His uncle pictures Adam as the Antichrist at the beginning, and that might trigger Albert's behavior to some degree, but that's a bit cheap, come on. And you know what? I'm not the biggest fan of Prithviraj either. He seems indifferent and oftentimes outright lazy.
I know what you mean, I wouldn't call him lazy though. I thought he was alright, but yeah, a little bit more energy perhaps would have done a lot. But all of these shortcomings aside, 9 is a movie that's probably quite stunning when you watch it in cinemas or in complete darkness on a huge screen with headphones on. It is set in impressive locations, a giant mansion that's only lit with candles because of the 9 days without electricity. It is surrounded by dark woods, huge mountains, a monastery, and of course the mystery of Ava and the effects of that comet.
You can't argue with the visuals here. The movie looks awesome. The cinematography by Abhinandan Ramanujam is stellar. The whole movie feels grand and vast with its huge outdoor sights at daytime and the dimly lit interiors at night. It's quite the accomplishment.
It is, and it sticks with you. Now, let's talk about the twist, or rather the final act, so spoilers from here on out.
Okay, so the first twist is that we learn that Ava, played by Vamika Gabi, actually is the comet, respectively some kind of entity that came to Earth during the event. And you know what? I liked the character of Ava, and I thought that Vamika Gabi did a decent job in being mysterious, charming, lovely, and scary.
Yeah, I agree, and it's obviously not the biggest twist because you just know that something's wrong with her. But yeah, it works, and to some degree all the horror that she spreads is mildly threatening. But then there's the real twist, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. At that point the movie almost lost me because it went on for a very long time and the horror elements never escalated to a satisfying level for me. But then everything changed and it really creeped me out.
Yes, the twist is fine. The way it was revealed though, not the smoothest. It's basically just presented to us out of nowhere. Dr. Khan just explains that Albert has bipolar schizophrenia and that he is Ava. That's it.
Actually, that's not it, because the story keeps going in different ways from there on.
Yes, but two things. First, a twist doesn't always just make everything that happened before better or right. A movie is more than a twist, keeping in mind that I liked the one in this movie. But second, it still has to make sense. Now, after Dr. Khan explains everything, Albert still says that he saw Ava, that Ava is real, and suddenly Khan says, well, the only person that really knows if Ava is real or not is your son Adam. So what? Khan actually doesn't know if Albert has bipolar schizophrenia and just tells him that? Why?
Well, we actually don't get a final answer. We don't know what Adam thinks, and the paintings in the cave during the mid-credits and in the end depict an arrival of a comet that happened thousands of years ago, implying that Ava was indeed real?
I know, but still, you can't just separate all of this to play with the audience. Well, you can, but it shows that the people who made this movie had a good idea but didn't know what exactly to do with it, how to execute it, so they jump back and forth. All the stuff about Ava, the comet, destiny, darkness, the chosen one, it doesn't really add up or lead anywhere. It's there to be cool and stylish, and it is, in parts.
You're right, in parts.
So in German we'd say?
9 ist ein ordentlicher Science-Fiction-Horror-Mystery-Thriller, der vor allem durch eine grandiose Atmosphäre und eine faszinierende Prämisse besticht. Aber der Film ist viel zu lange, viel zu unfokussiert und weiß auch nicht wirklich, was er sein will oder wohin er will. I give 9 6 out of 10. It's more like 6.4, but I don't do that.
For me, it's also 6 out of 10. It's more like 5.8, but I don't do that either.
We made it, buddy. We came through.
I knew that the three of us were invincible.
Yeah, please comment below, let us know what you think about 9. And also, do you have a diagnosis for this guy here? You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd simply at the Jimmy Cage.
And you can hit me up at the Buddymeister.
And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell, for we too have to tell.